Alright, everybody, I'm just seeing my hair here. Actually, this fits in perfectly with today's theory. This is week 2 theory. Week 2 is all about the childhood dream and childhood dream or earliest memory if you don't have a dream. So make sure that you're gathering something to bring to class, either an early dream, a recurring childhood dream, or the earliest memory that you can remember that has a little juice to it. So the theory that goes along with week 2, is called primary and secondary. And this is about our personality and our development. So primary, we could say, is the part of our personality that we identify with, what we would call ourselves, how we want people to see us, how we identify. So for me, like one of my primary identities, well, not right now, but is that I've been a Potter for most of my life. I'm short. I'm friendly. I like to think of myself as being relatively smart. Interesting, funny, those kinds of things would be primary, right? Loving, caring, giving. I'm identifying as a teacher, although this is like a developing part of my personality. But in certain ways, I'm a teacher. I'm a dancer and a mover, and yeah, so those are all things that I would say, that's me. If I see somebody else in the world who's like that, I feel like I identify with them. That's me. So secondary is the more mysterious part of us, and that is called the not me. That's the part that we tend not to identify with. So, okay, so let's say, for example, anger, right? Like I don't identify as an angry person. Also, I had a very angry sister. So I kind of be like, anger is not me. Like, I don't want to be angry. I don't want people to see me as angry. And sometime early on, I kind of like created like a little strategy of having a not angry personality. I'm not going to be angry. No. I'll do anything but be angry. Like, that's a losing proposition. I don't want to be that, right? And then if I see people angry in the world, or anger comes towards me, I'm kind of all gripped. I don't know how to deal with it. But we can say that anger is secondary in my personality. I'm not really in touch with my anger. I don't identify as an angry person. And yet, I must get angry sometimes. I just don't really relate to it. And honestly, for me, like, I kind of wish I had a little bit more of a connection to my anger. And I think that as I grow and mature and work on myself more, that I will. So, let's see. I wish I could pause and continue, but you can't on this. I'm just going to take a quick look at my notes. Okay. So parts of ourselves or others that we are, I'm just keep looking at my hair because it's like, I want my hair to look good, right? Like that would be primary. I want my hair to look good, but my hair looks really kind of messy and funny, right? So primary in my world is like, I want to be clean. Like I want to be clean and neat. I want to smell good, all those things. Secondary is like a little messy. Luckily you can't smell my armpits on the video. A little stinky, those are kind of secondary things, right? Woo! So that's like kind of not me, right? I don't want to be this kind of like messy hair thing, right? But the fact is, I am. Like, that would be more honest. It's like, yeah, sometimes my hair is really messy, and sometimes I'm kind of a messy hair kind of person, and sometimes I'm a stinky armpit kind of person, and part of me is that. And people who know me, like, I can't actually really hide that, right? Like, I want to hide it. I want people to see me as, like, all perfect. Everything's always clean and everything. But no, like, anybody who actually knows me, it's like, I think I'm fooling the world, but, like, they can smell my armpits. Like, okay. So the idea is to start taking little bits of this secondary stuff as like homeopathic medicine, right? Like, what if I was okay with you knowing that I'm a little bit messy? What if I was gonna even be a little bit messy on purpose with you? Like, that could be a real big relief to me. If it was like, because there's a belief system in place that says messy is bad, clean is good, smelling good is good, stinky armpits are bad, right? But what if I kind of messed around with that belief system and said, actually, like, it's okay. People smell. People have essences and scents. People are messy by nature, right? What if I was okay with that? So for me to start taking the little pill of like, what if I was okay getting angry sometimes? It's like, is the world gonna fall apart if I get angry? If somebody sees me being angry? Probably not. I'll probably feel better than holding it in for my whole life and developing like weird, whatever, body symptoms that I could develop from holding things in. So here I say, so this is like moving towards our wholeness, right? To integrate parts of our secondary self helps us move towards our wholeness. So the more I can be like, I'm okay with getting angry. I'm okay with being messy. I'm okay with having stinky, I keep saying the stinky armpit thing. I'm okay with it, you know? Like then I feel I can be more me. If I spend all my energy trying to not be those things, to not be this, to not be that, then I'm hurting myself and I'm spending a lot of energy trying to force myself into a little box that's like not really natural for me. So here's what I wrote. Usually in early childhood, something happens and we make a subconscious or conscious decision to not be like that. Like with me, with my sister being angry. I didn't want to be like her. She was like really not esteemed in my family. So it was like, I kind of got this picture of like, oh, if you're angry, you're not successful. I made that link, but that wasn't necessarily like real or right. It's just what was happening in my family at the time. So we can be against certain energies and push them down in ourselves. And that's the danger because we don't let that part live. Like I could be a much more powerful and vital person. Like why, like what's wrong with anger? You know? Volcanoes are kind of angry. Activists are angry and they get shit done. Like, I could be a really productive person maybe if I let myself be angry. So the idea is to pick up the parts of ourselves that we've been rejecting and start to consider whether or not maybe it could be helpful to try to activate those parts of our lives a little bit. I'm going to... Well, let me tell you just really quick, I told you the thing about my sister. That's enough. So, but I'm just going to show you this little diagram if you can see. Here, I'll do it with a pen. Oh, that was my armpit. Okay. So, this is just a little diagram of, it's called process structure, and we'll be keep adding to it, right? But it's kind of like we draw a little mountain, and over here is primary. That's the me. Another word for primary is you. Okay? The you. 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 And then here's secondary on this side. And that is X. For some reason, we call them both of those things. It's kind of interchangeable. Primary energy and secondary energy. X energy and U energy. I said that reverse, but you know what I mean. X is the not me. That's not me. You? Yeah, that's you. Yeah, that's me. So that's what it looks like. We'll add to the picture. But basically what we kind of, the process of evolution, oh, here's a nice thing to think about, is that the secondary stuff are things that are trying to emerge. Now, this isn't only things that we push down and disavow. It's also things that we like wish we were, but we don't identify with. So if you really admire somebody, like for me, I really admire people who are radically honest. And like, I don't feel like I can be that way. So it's my secondary energy is radical honesty. It's a part of me that's trying to emerge, right? So what basically happens through our lives is that as our personalities shift and change, things that are secondary become primary. And then something new becomes secondary. So this is not a fixed thing. It changes over time. It changes momentarily sometimes. Sometimes it's like, whoa, I got angry. But on the, like my long-term process is that anger is secondary. That's what you need to know for this week's theory. We'll talk about it more and we will apply it in the childhood dream. You might think about, in my childhood dream, which role or part of the dream do I identify with, do I see as me, and which is like the not me, the furthest from what I see as my identity. Okay? I will see you in class. Looking forward to it. And namaste.